What's your true life story that nobody will believe, but only serious stories?
When I was about 9 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night feeling someone gently pulling the blanket up to my chin. It was such a warm, careful gesture that for a second, I thought it was my mom. But then I remembered. She was on the night shift at the hospital and wouldn't be home until morning. I froze. I was too scared to open my eyes all the way, but I heard soft footsteps crossing my room, heading toward the door. When I finally got the courage to look, the door was closed like always. No one was inside. The next morning, I asked my dad if he came in during the night, but he swore he didn't. That moment still gives me chills.
There's a street light outside my house that flickers twice every night at exactly 3:15. It's been like that for years. Creepy, but consistent. Last week, it flickered 3 times instead. That same night, around 3:20, I woke up to tapping on my bedroom window. The sound came in 3 short knocks, perfectly spaced. I didn't move. In the morning, there were no marks on the glass.
I used to work as a night security guard in an office building. One shift, the lobby camera showed a man standing perfectly still by the reception desk. I thought maybe someone had broken in, so I rushed down with my flashlight. The doors were locked from the inside, the alarm was armed, and the lobby was empty. When I checked the footage again, the man was gone, but the timer showed the video had never been paused.
I was working late on my laptop when suddenly the little camera light blinked on. I hadn't opened any app. Later, I checked the video files. Somehow, there were clips of me sleeping. From angles my laptop couldn't possibly record, like the camera had moved around the room. I wiped the hard drive and bought a new computer, but sometimes at night I swear I hear a faint click, like a lens adjusting in the dark.
I once ordered an Uber to take me across the city. The driver didn't ask for the address, he just started driving. I thought maybe the app had updated him, but after 20 minutes I realized he was taking me to a place I had never typed into my phone. An abandoned factory my dad used to work at, which I hadn't visited since childhood. I panicked and told him to stop. He just smiled and said, "I thought you wanted to go home." I never used the app again without double-checking the route.
One night, my phone buzzed with a text message. It said, "Don't open the door." 2 seconds later, there was a knock. I froze in bed, staring at the door, trying to convince myself it was just a prank. But I lived in a locked apartment building. Nobody could even get to my floor without a key. I sat there holding my breath until the knocking stopped. The next morning, I checked the number that sent the message. It didn't exist in my call history.
When my grandfather passed away, my family and I cleaned out his attic. In an old box, we found dozens of letters addressed to me. I was only 19 then, but the letters described moments from my life that had already happened. My first job, a car accident I had 2 years earlier, even the name of a friend I hadn't met until high school. The handwriting was definitely his. I can't explain how he knew these things, and no one else in the family can either.
A few years ago, I stayed at this run-down roadside motel. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of someone whispering my name right outside the door. It wasn't loud, but it was clear, like they were leaning right up against it. I grabbed the courage to peek through the curtain, but the parking lot was empty. When I opened the door a crack, nobody was there, but the carpet in the hallway was wet with fresh footprints. The motel clerk said no one else was checked into my floor that night. I left before sunrise.
I drive an old Honda that I bought used years ago. It's nothing special, but it's always been reliable. The weird thing started happening last winter. Whenever I drove past the abandoned hospital on the edge of town, the car radio would switch by itself. No matter what station I had on, it flipped to the same static-filled channel. At first, I thought it was interference, but then I started hearing faint voices in the static. Sometimes it was laughter, sometimes whispering. And once I swear I heard my own name. The creepiest moment happened on a snowy night. I was alone, heading home late. As I passed the hospital, the radio clicked over, and in the static I heard a voice say clearly, "Don't look left." Of course, I looked left. In one of the broken windows of the hospital's top floor, I saw someone standing there, a figure completely still, outlined against the dark. The next second, the radio cut back to normal music, like nothing had happened. I've driven past that hospital dozens of times since, but I've never looked left again.
My upstairs neighbor moved out months ago. The apartment has been empty ever since. But every evening, usually around 9 p.m., I hear the sound of heavy furniture being dragged across the floor above me. Sometimes, it's footsteps, pacing slowly back and forth. The landlord swears the place is locked and vacant. One night, I recorded the noise and played it for him. He went pale and asked me not to send it to anyone else.
It happened about 3 years ago when I was still living in my old apartment. I had just fallen asleep when my phone started ringing around 2:30 in the morning. Half asleep, I grabbed it off the nightstand, but what made me sit up straight was the caller ID. It was my own number. I thought it had to be some kind of glitch, maybe a spoofed call, but curiosity got the better of me, and I answered. The line was filled with static at first. Then, under the noise, I heard my own voice. Not a recording. It was me. Older, deeper, strained, like I was out of breath. And the voice said only one thing. "Don't stay here." Before I could ask anything, the call ended. I tried calling back, but of course it went straight to number not in service. I barely slept the rest of the night. The next morning, I noticed something strange. The picture frame in the hallway had fallen off the wall, glass shattered across the floor. Nothing else was touched. A week later, the apartment building caught fire. It started 2 floors above me, but the smoke damage reached my unit and I had to move out. Nobody was hurt, but sometimes I wonder if that call really was some kind of warning.